Welcome to Facilities First, episode 13. We're calling this the Mardi Gras episode, the Big Easy. And I have the pleasure today of having Michele Preston with Al Copeland Investments Restaurants. How are you doing, Michele?
I'm doing great, Paul. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We've been talking about this for months, so I have no idea what might happen. Just play along with me, okay?
That's how we roll.
That's
Let's
how we
just,
roll.
that's how we're doing this. And just remember, sometimes really good things happen to those who wait.
So I'm going to jump right in because one of the things that really has struck me with you and it resonates with me is legacies. And you're real big on leaving legacies. And we talked about it the other day and we had a great discussion on it. And so some people may not know Al Copeland, but I think in Louisiana, Al Copeland is a legacy. Am I correct?
Without a doubt. I
He
mean, go ahead.
He started, what did he start? They might know it.
Popeyes, it's just a small restaurant.
Yeah, it's a little
It is
small.
international, no big deal. I mean, the best fried chicken ever. That's a hill I'll die on.
Oh, so you're jumping ahead already? Or is that
Well,
another?
I mean, there's multiple hills, but that is definitely one. I guess we'll kind of base it on what's going on and where we are in the conversation. But,
Okay.
that is definitely a hill I will die on.
Well, I will join you on that hill because there is nothing better than Louisiana hot sauce in the mashed potatoes.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Let's
Making
go
me
have
hungry.
let's go have some fun. So, one of your passions is music. And the cool thing as we get older is music can take you back into a moment and
Mhm.
just hearing a couple songs. I mean, It's a Small World is one that just off the top of my head comes to mind. So, what's your favorite place to see a concert?
Well, I think it really kind of depends on what we're talking about because it can go either way. I mean, if we're talking, what's your favorite place to go to an outdoor concert?
Outdoor.
It's outdoors, absolutely Red Rocks. In Colorado, there's just something about being with all of your best friends that are there to see your favorite band, and it's under the stars, or sometimes it could be snowing. I did have some snow flurries at a show I went to once. The next day was really nice weather, so it's Colorado.
Yep.
But if we're talking indoors, I mean, I have to give some shout outs to New Orleans because we had the Sanger Theater in New Orleans and it was completely destroyed in Hurricane Katrina and remodeled, and it is beautiful. And I mean, it's kind of like you're outdoors because you're in a Greek Roman type amphitheater, is how they redid it with stars, and it's just beautiful. So, I mean, hands down, those are two of my favorite places. Um,
What's
you
your
know,
vibe?
my
What?
vibe.
Yep.
I mean, typically, I like musicians that really have to put a lot into their trade, that have been playing, since they were kids. So I like rock, jam. I love jazz. I love the great thing about New Orleans is we have Jazz Fest. So there's a lot of, there's the big weekend festivals. But then where it gets crazy is all these late night shows, and so there's so many musicians, and they just end up joining together, and it's just crazy to watch them, how talented they are. It's not they're playing a song that could be from some other musician, and then all of the sudden they're all playing it together and doing their own things, and it's just, music is incredible. I mean, it's amazing.
I think we found your passion.
It is.
It is.
We could 100% say that. I think anybody knows me that's going to attest to two things. If I'm taking off for vacation or we're traveling, I can guarantee you there's either a concert involved or there's some type of sporting event involved.
So let me ask you this because you gave me a big one, obviously Red Rocks, and then you gave me more of an intimate setting. Which one would you prefer?
I mean, that's really tough. Um,
Because Red Rocks, you got the view.
I think for me it's going to definitely be Red Rocks just because when you're in the center of these two massive mountains and you really stop and you look around and you realize how small you are and how big the world is, it puts a lot of things into perspective for you. And there's just sometimes we need to have that little reminder that, hey, whatever's going on in your life or work or with your family and your kids, in that moment, you're just still a small piece of a really, really big world. So I think for me, it kind of brings you back down to earth and just just kind of put some perspective in you.
I think when we were talking, I told you that we got to visit Red Rocks, but we didn't get to see a concert there. And just the feeling of standing there looking out and the majestic, I mean, it was just amazing. So I can only imagine if you put something like music that can really bring emotion to you, how it would be. So that's pretty cool. But we could talk about music all day long, obviously, but we're
Mhm.
here to talk about facilities. How'd you get
Yeah.
started?
So facilities was not my career path. Um, so I moved to Louisiana in 2007 and started working for Al Copeland Investments. I was a service manager for one of their restaurants, Cheesecake Bistro in Baton Rouge, and I was there for 9 years and um, found out that I was pregnant and going to have a family. And I said, "Yeah, I don't think restaurant management is really, especially for a mom, is where I need to be for what I want to do for my children." And so I put in my notice, and it was a very hard thing to do because I kind of grew up through Copeland's. And and I met with Allison, who is our president now for the restaurant division. And she said, "Look, if something comes up, are you open to the conversation?" And I said, "Absolutely." It was hard. I was because when I moved here, I didn't know anybody other than my now husband. So they really became a second family to me. And 2 weeks later, I was on a Friday, probably like very close to the end of the day, 4 or 5 o'clock. I get a call from her, and she said, "Hey, a position in facilities opened up. Think about it over the weekend. I want you to come in and meet with me and meet with Dina, who's my partner in crime, um, and let's discuss it." So I was like, "Okay." So I was like, "Okay, facilities. This is a foreign territory for me." Typically a lot of the facilities issues at the restaurant are handled by the general managers.
Mhm.
So I talked to a couple of people that I really look up to that know how I am and how I operate and how I work, and they're like, "This is great. This is Go for it. Like you can learn facilities." Um, but a lot of times facility managers don't always get to learn operations.
Yep.
So I went down to the office, talked with her, and talked with Dina, and it was that conversation was really funny because if you have you seen the movie The Devil Wears Prada?
That is not on my list, but no, I have not.
Okay, well, there's a main character played by Meryl Streep, and she's very like next whenever somebody comes in to talk to her. And Dina can be a little intimidating, but she sat me down and she said, "Look, facilities is stressful. If you're looking to get away and not have anything stressful and just be relaxed, I don't know about if this is what you really want to do." And I kind of like, okay, well, I'm an operator. I don't think anything can get more stressful than that. And I think that was like the beginning of a really great relationship at that point in time because now, I mean, I wouldn't trade it for the world. Fixing problems is what I do.
Mhm.
And I have a really great partnership and really great relationship with those that I work with. And I'm very grateful that, Allison thought that I would be a great fit for the role, really not having any knowledge of the role, but here we are.
It's really interesting because you brought up the pressure of it, and my background. I spent 20 years in the industry as well as an operator. Did area management for restaurants, and I always laugh when I talk to people and they're like, "Well, this is a high pressure situation." And what I come back with normally is, have you ever ran a Friday night with 20-minute ticket times? You're short three servers and your expo didn't show up and you're the only manager? And they look at you like, how's that hard? But I think operators are trained to multitask because I mean, you've got to be cool, calm, and collected, but paddling like heck underneath,
Mhm.
and it translates well to facilities. So, do you think for yourself that's what you think you still get that adrenaline rush? I guess is what I'm asking.
I'd like to think that I would prefer my schedule to be laid out, very strategically planned, and working with no pressure. But I find for me, the more pressure I have and the more things going on, I mean, I thrive in that environment. And it's like, why? Why do I do that to myself? You know? But I mean, that's just kind of what it is. I don't think I could do just everyday work where it's like maybe you'll have something come up. Like I need to know I'm working on something that's going to make something better. And
Yep,
we definitely get that in facilities.
yep, yep. So let's talk about leadership because facilities has evolved over the years. And back when I was doing it, facilities was a department, but the GMs had to take care of most of the stuff, and it wasn't like it is today. And facility managers have now become leaders and educators basically for the operators. And I think you bring a special skill because you do have that. You're almost like you speak their language too. So what's a leadership moment that tested you, whether it be with the operator or a situation in a store?
Well, I think there's been quite a few moments that really test you. I mean, I think that, a few years ago we had Hurricane Ida hit the New Orleans area. And I mean, I think that really tested too, because you're pulled in so many directions. You're worried about what's going on at your house. You're also responsible for helping quickly get your restaurants back up and running. And there's multiple people that you're communicating with along the way, whether it's the general managers and their team or your director, whoever, your vendors.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think moments like that are really high pressure. But I do think that the great thing about that is the outcome, and that is, okay, we know that this is what we're preparing, this is what we have in place for our stores going into, hurricane season. We plan accordingly. And then we have a pretty solid plan to execute if something comes our way. So, I think that's really what you have to do is you take a situation and you push through and you learn from it and just continuously build to be better.
That's great. Sarah said, I'm going to paraphrase, life is facilities like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. So, then, and that's true. I mean, every day's different, and I think that's from our side as a vendor. I think that's one of the fun things that we find is there's never a dull moment. There's always something going on. So let me ask this: what is your leadership style? What would you say it is?
I don't know if I could even pinpoint a particular style. And I say that because leadership has to evolve. I mean, I think maybe the way I led something a year ago, I might be doing it completely different today. And that's just because you have different people coming in. You have to think about maybe their skill set or their skill level. Especially, take the restaurants, for example. If I have new managers that are coming in, I really make it a point to spend time with them when I visit the locations and learn about them and to see how they operate or see what they see, how things are presented through their eyes. And, I took a leadership class a few years ago, and I think the greatest lesson that I learned from that is to be inclusive in terms of just because there may be a new manager who doesn't quite know facilities, why am I not including them and teaching them? So for me, I guess if I had to pinpoint my leadership style, it is definitely, I always try to be that teacher and I always try to be an example and lead with confidence because, if your leader is not confident, you're those that are, following you, they're not going to be very confident either. So I also try to be like, we're all going to make mistakes. We are not perfect. I am going to make mistakes. I probably make, I don't know, a couple every day.
Yeah.
But the most important thing about that is taking ownership and figuring out how we can prevent the same mistake from happening.
And you talked about growth at the beginning, and that's one of the things that I truly admire about you, because you were one of the ones that pushed me to do some professional growth, which I think we were talking about the same leadership course. Uh, so it's okay. Shout out to RIFMA Leadership. It's I'm excited to do it this year, but growth and professional growth kind of go hand in hand, because what you're doing at work, you're also growing at home. So how do you? Because you've got your hands full, especially if I keep on sending candy your way. How do you juggle being a mom with kids growing up, with restaurants calling, with hurricanes warnings left and right? How do you juggle all that, continue to grow, and continue to be a great mom?
So I think we hear in our field, especially this terminology called work-life balance.
Oh, that thing.
That phrase that really should be eliminated from everybody's vocabulary. Um, I don't I don't believe in that. I think it's a false claim and it gives people false hope. Like, we're never gonna be 50-50. That's balance, right? Um, and there was a fellow facility manager, Nick Sawyer with Bar Taco, a few years ago. He posted about this book that's really helped him with this. And of course, because I like to develop and work on myself too, I ended up reading the book, and it's called Be Where Your Feet Are. And the main principle of it is that whatever it is that you're doing in that moment, you really need to be planted and focused on that. And for me, that's how I can have that balance, if you will. If I'm in a meeting, I try to my phone is down. That the person speaking deserves my attention. If I'm with my kids, my phone isn't always with me. That moment is for them. And then it's the same thing, when we get in bed, my alarm is set, then it's family time with my husband. We're watching a show or we're chatting about our plans, what's going on with our kids, what have you. And I read that book 2 years ago, and I hold to it. It has been something that has really changed me for the better. So yeah, that's how I really do it all. I mean, I just take those moments, and if it's whatever it is that I'm working on, that deserves my full attention, and that's how I make it happen.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, in facilities and in life, we go through ups and downs, and we touched on this a little bit earlier. There's a up that you want to talk about. So, tell me, what is the hill you will die on?
Well, I mean, I already told you about the chicken.
Which I agree
Yes.
wholeheartedly.
If it's I guess I have a couple of hills. One, if it's work related, it's definitely be where your feet are.
Okay.
But if it's like in normal world, Paul, I guess the hill that I'm gonna die on is that if Notre Dame wants to be in the college football playoffs, then they need to join a conference.
Mm. That is why we talked about this. So, Michelle and I had a lot of fun during football season because she might be Paul Bear Bryant was a coach for him. They've been irrelevant ever since Saban left, but she's a Bama fan. I am a Notre Dame fan, and so during the CFP announcement, I get a text from somebody that is kind of laughing at my Fighting Irish not making it. But ironically enough, you're Catholic also.
I am, yes.
Explain that. But so That you set me up so bad with that one.
I have planned that. I will tell you, ever since I when I listened to your podcast with Carrie and Johnny, and you asked them that, I said, "Oh, it is on."
Well, the good thing is I haven't sent the Amazon candy yet, so that 5 pounds just turned into 10. You're welcome.
Oh, well, I'm pretty sure that my husband is listening. If not, he will definitely be replaying this. So one of us is gonna get that Amazon package. So,
I'm
you
just
know.
gonna address it to Philip, and that's y'all won't open it. I'll tell her I'll text him and tell him to hide it under his bed and just have some at night.
Oh my gosh, they would so do that.
That
That is something they would do.
boys will be boys.
Oh my gosh, they would totally do that. Don't encourage them. They don't need encouragement.
They need to watch their mom on this show. They
I mean,
do.
I might let them watch it. Then
You see,
they'll think Mr. Paul is so cool. I mean, they already think you're really cool because they got a big old box of Skittles, but, you know.
and of course Peyton's in the background. He puts Paul will be Paul. I told him of all the shows, this one is the one that's going to go off the rails because of how you and I are. So let's jump back on the rails.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Kayla said roll tide.
Yes, Kayla.
Oh my
I'm
god.
with her.
Oh my gosh. This is going to turn into a football talk before we know it. So let's get back on. Grow as you grow and as you continue to grow, there are are people that come across that you come across, and legacies are really important. You and I were talking the other day, and I jokingly said, "My kids aren't getting my money because they can spend that, but I will leave them a legacy." Talk to me about what legacy you want to leave.
You know, I think after that call, it was kind of funny because I had received a call from someone that worked for me as a server many years ago. And, you know, I just had kind of seen some of the stuff that he had been posting on social media. And I was just like really kind of concerned. Hey, are you okay? And he was basically telling me about a career decision that he was going to have to make. And he didn't know which way to go about it. And my reply was so simple. And I said, go be great. And he was like, you know, you just don't have to say much, but it is the perspective on that. And the legacy that I want to leave for those that work with me is that to go be great. Like, I am here. I'm going to encourage you and help you as much as I can. Um, the go be great is what I tell my kids every day. They have one job, it's school, go be great. Um, so I just kind of feel like that has become my phrase, my mantra, if you will. And you know, with that becomes the legacy of always encouraging others to just be make themselves better. Like there's the world is so big. There's so much room for growth. The world needs it. And I think that's probably what my legacy is that I want to leave.
I love that. I love that. Mine might be play like a champion, but that's beside the point.
Are you sure you're
So
not an Alabama fan?
no, that's what the Notre Dame team touches as they go out.
Mm.
So back to it. tell me, tell me about a mentor you had in your career that you just look back and you're thankful for.
Man, so I would have to say, probably when I moved to Louisiana. I mean, I didn't know anybody. I mean, when you come in here and you know one person and you left I left my friends, I left my family to really take a chance on something. And I think I mean, I was kind of unstable. Like I was trying to do well at work. I was trying to create my life. I was trying to make friends and all that kind of stuff. But I had, and this is kind of like a partner because I had my general manager at the time and my area director at the time were two people that have significantly shaped my career. And whenever I see either one of them, you know, the gratitude that I have for them taking time out of their busy job to just help guide me and champion me and really cheer me on. Um, I owe it to them all the time because, I mean, they helped change the trajectory of my career. They believed in what I was doing. They empowered me to do it. They empowered me to make great decisions. They empowered me to fail. And because of that, I was able to learn so many lessons. So yeah, whenever I see them, it's nice to say, "Hey, this is where I'm at now." But you know, without a doubt, those two guys, and I hope maybe they're listening. I'm not sure, but they really did shape my career, and for that, I am extremely grateful.
And it's interesting because we never know as people, who we're impacting at that moment. And a beautiful story, like you said, about that gentleman that was worked with you, and you ended up said, "Go be great."
Mhm.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a full on "let me walk you down the aisle" type thing. It can be 4 or 5 words, and it can literally change their life. And that's one of the cool thing about leaving legacies and mentoring people, which I see you doing in the restaurant facility world. And I know I want to thank you, because the guys and girls in the restaurant facility world, they're behind the scenes. That's why I started this show, to put the spotlight on you guys. So if you could tell anybody that's thinking about facilities, getting in facilities, what are 3 things that you would tell them to always remember?
I would tell them to always remember who they are and what you believe in, because in facilities, you're always going to have right and wrong. And there's always going to be decisions to be made that may question your integrity. So I think you always have to stay true to yourself. Um, the second thing I would tell them is whether you are in restaurants or retail, there's always organizations out there to help you grow. Obviously, I'm on the restaurant side. I'm very active with RIFMA. So if it's a restaurant facility manager, without a doubt, I would say join because there are so many amazing resources and people that just want you to grow. And and then the third thing I would tell them is do it. Like, if you're a problem solver and you like challenges, I mean, I think this field is great. It's fun.
Yeah. And that's true. And ladies and gentlemen, that's how legacies are made. Um, so thank you for being you, but you're not off yet.
Oh
Be-
boy.
Before you go, I end every show with the same question. What is the one question I should have asked you, but I didn't know I should have asked you?
I think that question should be, what are you going to do next? What are your goals for 2026? I think what my plan is for the year and things that I want to do to continue growing and making this industry what it is. And I think that's a pretty important. Paul, you missed that one.
Okay, the floor is yours. What are your goals?
So I'm super excited that this year with my restaurants, really putting in some facilities training into place. I think we owe it to our operators that if we're going to hold them to managing their properties and making right decisions, we have to provide for them the tools to understand why we do the things that we do. So I'm super excited for that. I cannot wait to roll that out mid year. And then on the developmental side, I'm part of two really great education sessions at RIFMA that I think will continue to build and hopefully take us on maybe a new direction in terms of celebrating the females in facilities. So there's a lot of exciting things coming.
Yeah,
2026 is going to be a great year.
I think it's going to be a great year. And shout out to you because you have a pretty awesome panel coming up for RIFMA in Denver. And I'm excited to see it. I may be the only guy in there, but I'll be rooting you on. So, Michelle, I know you're busy and I know you're preparing for Snowmageddon at one of your stores. So, uh, I just want to thank you from Hero Facility Services, from all of us on the vendor side. Thanks for being you, and thanks for being awesome. You know, it took almost 30 minutes before the Wi Fi cut out for her. So, guys, girls, thanks for joining us on Facilities First. My name's Paul McCarthy, and I'll see you next time.